Hi, I'm Lorraine. Welcome to the District Yoga. For today's restorative practice, you will need a couple props. We're going to use a block to start out, and you will need one bolster. I always just have a couple blankets laying around just in case I need them. So if that's something that you know you like, please have them nearby. Otherwise, this class is wonderful when you've really had a busy week and you just need to decompress. So we'll start with a little bit more of an active shape. It's going to be a supported downward facing dog, which we'll use the block for. So go ahead and come to all fours. We'll have the block towards the top of your mat. I'm going to put it on its highest setting. And then just spread through the fingers. We're going to tuck the toes underneath and just gently lift the hips. You're not necessarily trying to accomplish or achieve a stretch per se. So if you need to walk the feet in, you can. I'm going to adjust the block so that it's right underneath my head, walk my feet in a little bit, and place a little bend through my knees. Take a couple moments, a couple breaths here. I want you to just feel this action of your head just dropping into the block. Although it is an active shape, I want you to use it as this, guide into our restorative practice. I want you to kind of think of it just like your busy life. Sometimes we're a bit more active, and we'll use this activation to allow the thoughts to slip away, to allow anything that's not serving you to just fall by the wayside. And we won't be here super long, so just allow the thoughts to just drain out and into the block. Take a big breath in. Massive breath out. Go ahead and gently set the knees down to the earth. Slowly lift the head off the block. Just set the block off to the side. We're going to grab that bolster and allow the knees to open up. We're going to come into a supported child's pose. If you'd like to use the block, if you know you like a little angle on your support, go ahead and find it underneath that bolster. Let the arms straddle the bolster here and let the cheek turn off to one side. Just allowing yourself to find a restful position as we transition away from that active shape. So see if you can allow yourself to just settle into this child's pose. A gentle folding into yourself. We'll really just use this shape as a transition towards our next few shapes, away from that active posture of that supported downward facing dog. Maybe notice a sense of ease as we started with a more active shape. And gently ease ourselves into this supported child's pose. Maybe notice the breath. Being ever so gently aware. From here, we'll take one more deep inhale. Stay here, let that go. If you did take that support of the block underneath the bolster, gently walk the hands towards the knees. Ever so gently lift the head off of that support. Remove that block off to the side if you did use it. Scoot that bolster just a little forward. We're going to come on to the right hip. So bring both knees over towards the right side. We're going to start with our first twist, the gentle reclining supported twist. Both knees dropped over towards the right. That right hip just grazing that bolster. And that bolster is long again, just like before. Take both hands to each side of that support and then just gently drape that chest on top of that bolster. Let the head either come to the right side cheek. If you wanted just a little bit more for the twist, you could absolutely turn to the opposite direction. If you went there and that didn't feel right, come back to the opposite side. It's just an extra extension, extra twist through that head and the neck. Wherever you went, see if your arms can just let the elbows splay out a little wider. Not trying to use any sort of strength through the arms. Ultimately, just allowing yourself to be heavy onto that bolster, all the way from that right hip up through the upper body, all the way up through the head, the arms, even the hands. Allow yourself to stay here as we come into our first nice twist. Although we're not chasing any sensation by any means. In fact, in most of these postures, you likely won't feel any sense of stretch. If you do, find more support, maybe an additional blanket or an extra bolster. Allowing the eyes to close or a gentle gaze. Allowing the shoulder heads to drop low. Maybe here, giving yourself permission to be completely supported. I remember my first real retreat that offered restorative yoga. I remember being in a shape supported by a bolster. And my teacher, Lauren Ekstrom, talking about how we often support other people or other things in our lives. Whether that be a partner, a spouse, our children, our pets. Very often we're giving of ourselves in many, many ways, different facets. And I distinctly remember her saying, "But what about you? How do you support yourself?" In this practice today, I welcome you to give yourself permission. Permission to be completely supported by your props. Permission to be supported by the earth underneath you. Maybe even permission to indulge. Maybe you can feel that sense too. That whatever props you have and the earth underneath you have the ability to completely hold you, to nourish you, to allow yourself to fill your own cup. Taking one more easeful breath. Gently releasing that out. Ever so gently walking the hands back under the shoulders. And as slow as you need, make this transition to lift the upper body. Pressing into the hands, lifting the head. Go ahead and come on to the sits bones as you gently just drop the knees over towards the left. When you're ready, straddling the arms, I'll go ahead and face you. Letting the chest drop onto that support. Again, option for either the left cheek to land, or if you wanted a little bit more for that twist, allowing that right cheek to turn. And then just landing here. Again, supported by your props. Tuning into what you might need. Making any slight adjustments as you need. And then again, just coming back to that sweet indulgence. This form of self-love and care that I too deserve to be supported and caressed. Maybe noticing that that support doesn't have to come from another person. That I can wholeheartedly listen to what my body needs. That I can too find rest. And I'm not obligated to always be doing. Stay in that surrender. Allow yourself to be heavy. Allow this gentle sense of ease wash over your whole body so that you can in fact nourish your soul. Stay here. Inviting your body to be heavy, but also light. Nowhere to go, nowhere to be. Just breathing into my gentle body. From here, filling up the lungs one last time, signaling a change is about to come. Gently walk the hands underneath the shoulders. And again, ever so gently pressing some weight into the hands so that you can lift the crown of the head up. We're going to make our way onto our backs, removing that bolster off to the side, scooting the hips forward if you need, and allowing that head to come onto the mat. Once you get there, place a bend through the knees. We're going to slowly slide that bolster underneath the sacrum here, allowing the hips to rest on that support, allowing the knees to stay bent unless you saw that you wanted to extend them. I'm going to keep my knees bent. In fact, I'm going to walk my feet out and let the knees just gently knock in towards each other. You can keep your hands by your side, or maybe one hand on the heart, one hand on the belly. Just gently transitioning our way onto our backs. As we use this shape again for a transition pose, take your last few breaths. Allowing the hips to drop low into that support. Allowing the belly to be soft. Allowing the back body, the shoulders to drop onto the earth. A gentle caress of those scapula. If you're with me, go ahead and take one last inhale. Ever so gently letting that release. If you did, take the feet wide, heel toe them in slowly. Lifting the hips up and sliding that bolster off to the right. Lowering those hips down. We're going to find our way to another twist. And this time, we're going to use the bolster as support between our legs. Go ahead and scoot the hips off towards the left side. Drop the knees over towards the right. And if you wanted to roll the side body, so the right side onto the right, you could. That's going to be option 1. Adjust the bolster so that it completely supports all the way from the knee to that foot. If you want to stay on the right side, you can. I'm going to add a little bit more opening for the chest as I let my left arm lead and open towards the left side of our space. If that was too much, you could always come back to laying on the right side. A nice supported supine twist. Again, my head landed on my blankets. If you had them, you could definitely bring them underneath as well. Arms wide, knees dropped over towards the right. If you needed to fill a little bit more space between the legs, you could always put a blanket on top of that bolster. And then you just stay here, allowing yourself to fall into this supine twist, or what we call in restorative yoga, revolved abdomen. A gentle opening of the abdominal wall as you open that left arm towards the left side. A gentle twist through the spine as you drop the knees off to the right. But feeling that support of the bolster between the legs so that the legs aren't doing too much, if any, work. Allow the legs to relax, releasing any squeezing that might be happening there. Maybe allow the jaw to unclench. The space between the eyebrows unfurrows. Even the head and the neck get a little soft. Stay here, finding that gentle breath again. Maybe a gentle sense of opening through the front body. From here, taking one more full inhale. Release that out. Ever so gently, keeping that support between the legs. We're just going to roll and make our way on to the opposite side. So lift the knees through center, maybe plant the feet down. When you're ready, just go ahead and drop the knees up and over towards the left. Again, if you wanted to come on to that left side for your pose, you could. And if you wanted that revolved abdomen, go ahead and let that right arm gently roll open towards the right. Knees dropping over towards the left. And the gaze where it feels most appropriate for your head and your neck. You might start out with it over towards the left, or it might be up towards the sky. If you wanted a little bit more, you could find the gaze over towards the right fingers. Supported, revolved abdomen. Or what you might know in a vinyasa practice as just a supine twist. Find what feels good for you as you land in this shape. No expectations of what it might be. Maybe a relaxing through the legs and the right hip. Maybe the permission to be supported even here. And then we just stay. Stay with our easeful breath. This practice, one where we move from our sympathetic to our parasympathetic nervous system, away from our fight and flight response, more connected with our rest and digest response. Tune into that. As you do, you might feel this sense of ease wash over you. And you might even feel this sense of coolness. If ever you needed to add a layer, you could. That's just our body's natural response as we switch over to our parasympathetic nervous system. Staying here in that ease. Nothing to do, nothing to see, nowhere to be. Taking one last inhale here. Exhale, gently let that release. Slow as you need. Bring the knees up towards the sky, bringing that bolster in between the legs with you. We're going to bend through the knees, grab that bolster and place it on the mat so that the legs can find a nice support underneath the knees. If you need, you can adjust the legs, the upper body. In fact, if you had a couple blankets, you might want to bring those blankets on top of you. If you didn't and you wanted to find them, you could. Although you don't need them to get the benefits here. Allow yourself to find your way to a restful position. If you liked a neck roll underneath your head and your neck, you could find that. Slipping our way into final resting pose. A complete sense of ease. And again, that calm just washing over you. We started with an active shape in this class and have ever so gently moved into our parasympathetic nervous system. One where we prepare for deep, deep rest. Stay here. Maybe with that gentle awareness. An awareness that we can carve out the time to support ourselves. That if ever we need, we can simply stop, acknowledge, and give ourselves permission to be supported. To not always have to be the person that's supporting others. But to also be a person that knows how to nourish and support myself. This internal flame. If you're doing this class in the evening, you might just want to slip right into bed. If you have a little bit more of your day ahead, take your time. We will say that is the official end. Only at your time, make your way out of this supported shape. We'll see you next time. Namaste.